Hello everyone, you are watching the Daily News Report from Group 2 of Class E5 at 6 a.m. local time here in CNN. Today the main topic revolved around nuclear energy, and in the following part we're going to check up on the headlines including the definition of nuclear energy and how it functions, why nuclear energy should be utilized and how some countries have developed it. And we'll also touch on some disadvantages of nuclear energy and showcase some accidents occurred in the past. Last but not least, the news conclude with the comparison between nuclear energy and other resources. Nuclear energy is the energy in the nucleus or core of an atom. Nuclear power is generated by splitting atoms to release the energy held at the nucleus of these atoms. The process, called nuclear fission, starts when really heavy elements on the brink of stability get bombarded with neutrons. The neutron is absorbed, but the result is unstable. Mostly immediately splits into fast-moving lighter elements, some additional free neutrons and energy in the form of radiation. As the radiation hits the surrounding water, the neutrons repeat the process with other atoms, releasing more neutrons and radiation in a closely controlled chain reaction. The product, which is steam, spins a turbine connected to a generator, producing electricity. The most common fuel for nuclear power is uranium, an abundant metal found throughout the world. Mined uranium is processed into U-235, an enriched version used as fuel in nuclear reactors because its atoms can be split apart easily.
The idea of nuclear power began in the 1930s when physicist Enrico Fermi first showed that neutrons could split atoms. Fermi led a team that in 1942 achieved the first nuclear chain reaction at the University of Chicago. This was followed by the first electricity produced from atomic energy at Idaho's Experimental Breeder Reactor 1 in 1951 and the first nuclear power plant in the city of Obninsk in the former Soviet Union in 1954. These days, nuclear energy meets about 10% of the world's energy demand. As of January 2022, there are about 439 nuclear reactors in 31 countries, 54 reactors under construction, with most of them being in the countries that are growing quickly, and 109 reactors planned worldwide. We have understood the function of nuclear energy. Let's continue to discover 3 reasons why nuclear energy is the best non-renewable alternative to fossil fuels. A little disclaimer, we are not trying to make nuclear excel renewable resources such as sunlight or geothermal. However, it should be borne in mind that an immediate shift to renewable energy is out of the question. The process is to be gradual, and in the time being, nuclear energy deserves to be the best approach in place of other non-renewable energy. Firstly, it is its cost effectiveness. Although nuclear power stations take considerable investment to build, they have low running cost and better longevity, and I will explain with this infographic. It is noticeable that nuclear energy has the highest capacity factor compared to other energy sources, producing maximum power. Some may argue that by saying that nuclear energy still requires uranium, a non-renewable resource. However, we should remember that the fission of 1 gram of uranium or plutonium per day liberates about 1 megawatt. This is the energy equivalent of 3 tons of coal or about 600 gallons of fuel oil per day, which, when burned, produce approximately 1/4 ton of carbon dioxide. Besides uranium, scientists are also testing other resources, such as thorium, which can further enhance the capacity above mentioned.
Thank you, Heng-Op, for the first benefits of nuclear energy. Now, the second advantage of nuclear energy is that it can reduce carbon emissions. Most of the carbon dioxide emissions associated with nuclear power stations happen during constructions and fuel processings, not when the electricity is being generated. This can slash the amount of greenhouse gas emission by fossil fuels generated energy. And if you are still not persuaded by the two merits above, let's have a look at the final key points, which is the developing technology. And before illustrating several salient examples of these innovations, I would like to quote a saying by Ms. Agneta Risings, Director General of World Nuclear Association, in her interview in 2020. Innovation is also, of course, key for creating the nuclear plants of tomorrow. These will not only provide electricity but also a range of other energy applications, such as domestic heat, high-temperature industrial process heat, hydrogen production, and desalination. And now, let's jump right into the first model in America, the small modular reactor. With this modern reactor, the United States is aiming at cutting-edge advanced designs that are safer, more sustainable, cheaper, and can leverage waste. To be more specific, these reactors can be paired with renewable generating sources, making the energy less expensive, while also being able to burn waste as an energy resource. Another quality is that this small modular reactor is walk-away safe. It needs no action required by the operator to safely shut the reactor down. Coming to the second innovation, we have the cogeneration method in the UK. Nuclear cogeneration is where the heat generated by a nuclear power station is used not only to generate electricity, but also to address some of the highly decarbonized energy demands, such as domestic heating and hydrogen production. This method has three main merits. The first one is the efficiency. The second is the positive environmental impact because less fuel is burned to produce each unit of energy output. And the final one is the economic benefit. Cogeneration can save facilities money considerably on their energy bills due to its high efficiency, providing a hedge against unstable energy.
Last but not least is the approach we have touched on when discussing about the first advantage of nuclear energy. Basically, we use thorium instead of uranium to reduce the amounts of resources needed. Although this approach is still under research and encounters several controversy, it still remains a potential innovation that we should look forward to. After considering some benefits of nuclear energy, let's move on to the disadvantages of this power. The first limit is the impressive price. The cost of nuclear power is often broken down into capital cost and operating cost. Capital costs include site preparation, engineering, manufacturing, construction, commissioning, and financing. Operating costs include fuel costs, maintenance, decommissioning, and waste disposal. The capital costs of a nuclear power plant are much higher than for new energy resources, and the annual cost of repaying the initial investment is higher than the annual operating cost. The high cost of nuclear power has led to a significant decline in the construction of new plants, just one plant in the past 20 years. Furthermore, nuclear technology made a violent entrance onto the world stage. Reactor technology slowly evolves as a means of generating electricity, but it's always been intimately connected with nuclear weapons technology. Is it nearly impossible to develop nuclear weapons without access to reactor technology? In fact, the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty served the purpose of spreading nuclear reactor technology without spreading nuclear weapons.
Finally, there are some noticeable accidents that occur. There have been about 30 reported accidents globally since 1951. Most of them are pretty minor compared to two disasters everybody is familiar with, Fukushima and Chernobyl. The April 1986 disaster at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Ukraine was a product of a flawed Soviet reactor design, coupled with serious mistakes made by the plant operators. It is undoubtedly the worst nuclear accident in history for a number of reasons. The reactor technologies were often prepared for emergencies, and the government response was slow and more concerned about image than damage control. What makes nuclear energy scary is not reactors blowing up, but the radiation they release. The second dangerous accident was Fukushima Daiichi. Fukushima did not only operate with much better technology, so it was less dangerous. Much better security measures were in place, and the official response was fast and decisive. The current death toll is only 573. These deaths were not a consequence of radiation. They were indirect deaths from the threat of evacuation of the areas around the reactors and occur almost entirely in older populations. By 2018, there had been only one confirmed death among workers as a result of radiation-induced lung cancer. After understanding the mechanism, pros and cons of nuclear power, we will compare this energy to other types of resource, especially regarding the death rate. Solar, wind, and geothermal energy basically only cause deaths as a result of construction and maintenance accidents. Unfortunately, their current share of global energy is really low. The major player in renewable energy is hydropower, which mostly means building dams and letting water flow through turbines from a higher elevation to a lower elevation. In total, hydro has been the most fatal in terms of accidents with hundreds of thousands of deaths in the last half century. But all of these deaths caused by nuclear and renewable energy are actually negligible in comparison to the real killer energy source, fossil fuel, the most widely used source of energy and electricity. It increased the risk of deadly disease like lung cancer, stroke, and heart disease. Fossil fuel-related air pollution is the number one cause of environmental-related deaths in the world.
A few studies have compared the death rate from different energy sources per 1 terawatt-hour. That's about the annual energy consumption of 27,000 Europe citizens or 12,600 US citizens. To produce that much energy for 1 year, coal causes 25 deaths, oil causes 18, and natural gas 3. Renewable energy causes 1 death every few decades. Nuclear energy would cause 1 death every 14 years. One study even found that nuclear energy actually saved 2 million lives between 1971 and 2009 by displacing fossil fuels from the global energy mix. The numbers are clear even when using wildly pessimistic numbers. Nuclear energy is among the safest forms of energy generation. Comparison also wrap up the last piece of the Daily News report today. We hope the information presented about nuclear energy has been of help for you. Thank you for tuning in, and we hope to see you more in our later bulletins. Goodbye for now.